latest debates on Twitter right now is to determine whether or not Angela and Venom are main tanks or off tanks. And honestly, I've been reading both sides, and I can see there's a side saying 100% that Venom and Angela are both main tanks, and there's another side saying that Venom and Angela are not main tanks. And if you ask me, this entire argument is dumb. Okay, not because people who are saying it are dumb, but because we're using Overwatch terminology for Marvel Rivals, and these are two different games. It is about high time we stop using Overwatch to categorize Marvel Rivals characters, to categorize Marvel Rival heroes, okay? So the sooner we accept that, the sooner we can actually talk about the game properly. Okay, so yeah, that's what this video is about. Let's get into it. Overwatch is a problem for Marvel Rivals, and I say this because a lot of the player base, right? A lot of them, a good chunk of them come from Overwatch. Content creators are from Overwatch. Normal players are from Overwatch. You have pro players are from Overwatch as well. You have the casuals are from Overwatch. That is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I only begin to have an issue with it when they start using the terminology and their categories that they have in Overwatch to define and determine Marvel Rivals. It's not the same game. I know I've said this before. It's not the same game. Overwatch is a 5v5 hero shooter first person. Marvel Rivals is a 6v6 third person hero shooter. In Overwatch you have one tank, in Marvel Rivals you have two tanks. I mean, you cannot really, it's not the same. It's like apples and oranges, right? So the whole game in Marvel Rivals is built around the idea that two tanks split the work, which is why solo tanking in Marvel Rivals is absolute hell. It is hell. I do it. I've done it. It is hell. I hate it. As a flex player, I mean, I claim to be a support main, but like I'm basically a support main that flexes. I am, when I go second tank, I end up on solo tank. So I know what is like for the tank players, right? So when we bring over the terminology main tank and off tank in Marvel Rivals from Overwatch, it doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense, right? So before I even say that, when is Angela actually a main tank? Actually, before I go into this, let me just make it really clear what a main tank and an off tank is. Okay, like I'm talking bare bones here. Main tank is a tank that has sustain, can enable DPS, can take space and hold it, can peel and protect the team, right? An off tank is a tank that can take space, but they cannot hold it. Okay, they can take the space, they can be aggro, they can go in, get out, they can take it, you know, make the enemy push back a bit, you know, but they cannot really hold that space for long because they're not built for that. Is that clear? Okay. So when can Angela and Venom be a main tank, or when are they main tanks? You're talking about when you're playing full dive compositions. So you can run an Angela and a Venom, or Angela and Cap, Venom Cap, Cap Thor, Angela Thor. Need I say more? I hope I'm painting the picture here. So that is when you're then thinking about playing back to front. Your tanks are going to go after the enemy backline first. Okay? So they give up space, let them walk forward, go after the enemy backline first. Their aim is to kill the supports first and then take out the rest of the team. Whereas in the front or back, like what we're all used to, is tanks versus tanks, fighting over space, dealing damage, supports healing, supports being poked at by both tanks. So whichever support dies first, you know, loses basically, front to back. Different from back to front. And you cannot run Angela as a main tank in front to back. One, she's a flyer. Two, she doesn't have the sustain to soak in the damage. Three, again, if you're running Angela as your main tank and she's in the enemy backline and your supports are also getting dove, she's not there to peel for your supports. Okay? That doesn't work that way. So this debate is so dumb that when I saw it, I myself was getting triggered. So I have to make a video to talk about this because I cannot believe that we are having this as a debate still, right? So Angela cannot do the things that Magneto can do, right? If you're running both Angela and Magneto And then you're saying, okay, right, Angela is a dive tank. First of all, Marvel Rivals has, again, 3 roles: Vanguards, Strategist, Duelist. There are no subcategories that fall under main tank, off tank, dive tank, brawl tank. These are all terminologies from Overwatch that has been migrated to Marvel Rivals. And yeah, to some extent, it did help understand the game. However, at this current time in season 9 Marvel Rivals, it seems to be doing more harm than good, because now we're trying to fix certain tanks into certain boxes when that is not the case, because Marvel Rivals is not Overwatch. Marvel Rivals is a game about counter picking, counter play. Think rock, paper, scissors. Who counters who? So if you're running Angela Venom, for instance, and they're running a rogue Emma or an Emma Thane or a Thane Dino, and then they're like running a Bucky or Namor or Widow, and then they're getting fully countered. Well, it doesn't matter whether or not you think your Angela or Venom are main tanks, because they're getting fully countered. So now they got to swap off, right? And then if you swap off to Magneto and Strange, who is then your main tank? See how that logic doesn't work? It doesn't really fit into the Overwatch category that we're trying to put in. It doesn't fit. It does not fit. And that's the entire point. Marvel Rivals has way too much damage. First of all, it's not Overwatch. It has so much damage and so much healing and a lot of sustain. The game is basically broken, and it's not a balanced game where, okay, you have like a certain amount of shields that need to be broken, or certain shield mechanics. That's not in the game at all. So now I know, okay, that this isn't a hot take or anything. I know that when I'm saying this, I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers, because I know there are people who are going to argue with me, telling me that I am having this wrong. Now, again, if you think I'm wrong here, I invite you, please, because I am always open for debates. I invite you. Tell me how I am wrong in this. How am I wrong in saying that Marvel Rivals is not Overwatch? How am I wrong in saying that you cannot categorize Emma or Venom or Angela or Magneto into main tanks or off tanks, specifically because it is very situational. It is situational. It is interchangeable. Why? Because you have 2 tanks. Both tanks are supposed to share the load, okay? One is going, sometimes you have a Thor and you have Emma, for instance. Your Thor is going to be more aggro than your Emma. Why? Because he is more mobile than your Emma. Your Thor can take space, because he, in that situation, will be your off tank. He can take space, but he cannot hold it. Whereas your Emma can take space and hold it. In that situation, she is an anchor tank, right? She's your anchor. She's somebody who's holding it. The same thing for Magneto. The same thing for Strange. The same thing for Hulk. If you're running Hulk and Thane, you see, it then becomes like, okay, so if you're running Hulk and Thane, who is now the main tank? Who is now the off tank? You see how putting certain labels from different games into Marvel Rivals doesn't work anymore? You see how it makes the entire debate dumb? It makes it stupid, because there is no one size fits all. So determining who your main tank is and who your off tank isn't really, it's not hero specific. It is job specific. It's about who does it better in what composition. It's about who does it better in your comps. So when you're running a Magneto and you're running 2 shield tanks, running a Magneto and a Strange, your Strange is brawling way more. He's going to have to fall back to the Mag, because why? Mag has more sustain, so your Strange is going to take space, but then you have to give it up. Same thing, if your Magneto was pushing up and now he's getting low, he needs to back up, the Strange is going to work forward, put up his shield to block the Magneto. In this situation, they had just interchanged roles. So at the first point in scenario 1, where Strange was being aggro, Strange was the off tank, because he had to then play aggressively, push forward, maybe get a kill or a pick or something, and then back up when he's getting too low, because he can no longer hold that space alone. So in the situation where you have a Strange and a Mag, both shield tanks, I didn't say main tanks, both shield tanks, Strange in that scenario is your off tank. Again, same scenario, you're running Mag and Strange. Mag is pushing up, Strange is playing more with his supports, right? Blocking damage, dealing damage with the Mag, holding the space that the Magneto has created, because he is moving forward. So he is holding the space. And when I say holding space, space held by a tank means the space where your teammates can play freely without dying. That's what you mean by holding space, creating space, okay? It's not just because you're moving forward. No, it's when you move forward, you hold a certain amount of area that your teammates can play on without dying. That is now your space. That's what the main tank does. So when your Magneto is pushing forward and you have a Strange playing slightly behind or right next to him, and he's being more aggressive, in that scenario, your Magneto is your off tank and your Strange is the main tank. It's always interchangeable. Okay, we're not talking about dive tanks here. I'm not talking about brawl tanks. I'm just talking about off and main tanks and when they fit in what scenarios. So when you're using Overwatch as the blueprint of determining whether a hero in Marvel Rivals is a main tank or an off tank, that is the dumbest thing you can ever do, specifically because number one, it's not the same game. Number two, you cannot put characters in Marvel Rivals in a box because it's about counterplay. It's different game mechanics. There is so much damage in the game. You cannot make that comparison. I know I sound heated here. I sound very heated because this is very frustrating because I see this as misinformation. That's what this is. It's just misinformation because now there's a debate on whether or not Venom is an off tank, or Angela is an off tank or main tank, and then no. If you want to run Angela as your main tank in a front to back composition, who is supposed to soak up the damage that's coming into your support? If you're running Angela and Venom versus an Emma and a Magneto, for instance, or an Emma and a Thane, for instance, right? So you both your Angela and your Venom decide, you know what? We're gonna jump the enemy backline, right? Who's gonna soak up the damage coming in? Your DPS, the supports. And I know there's a content creator right now pushing the agenda, pushing that Venom and Angela are main tanks. And yeah, like I said, I get it. I understand they can be main tanks. But again, it's very situation specific. You cannot say Angela is a main tank and that's it. Stamp main tank, meaning you can play her wherever. No, she doesn't work in every comp. The same way Venom doesn't work in every comp. The same way Magneto doesn't work in every comp. Need I say more? Okay, I understand that sometimes the Marvel Rivals community can be a little, they can be a little slow. I get that. This is not is even becoming a running joke that the community is dumb. The community is pretty dumb, but this is not a black and white situation where you can just take a label from a different game, place it on a tank in this game, and then we'll all go on about our day. That's not how it works. Okay, that's not how it works. So yeah, and then I know they're gonna say yeah because I saw people saying Winston, because Winston is a tank in Overwatch. Again, Overwatch has 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 2 supports. I had to look this shit up because I do not play Overwatch. And when I even saw that alone, I was like, yeah, there is no way you can use Overwatch categorization for Marvel Rivals. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. I feel like I got baited, okay? And so yeah, if you want me to choose a side, right? And if I literally had to choose, down to the wire, if I had to choose, is Venom a main tank? I'll say yes, he is a main tank in a dive composition. Venom is currently the best tank in the game. As of Marvel Rivals Season 9, as of the time where I am recording this video, Venom is the best tank in the game. Doesn't matter if it's a dive tank, brawl tank, shield tank, I don't care. He is currently the main tank. Sorry, he is currently the best tank in the game. That doesn't mean he is a main tank in every scenario because Venom cannot frontline. He has nothing for that. He's gonna get blown. He's gonna get blown to pieces. He can take space, but he cannot hold it. He can take space, but he cannot hold it. However, he can take space in a dive comp and hold it because why? He has more help from his entire team. from his other dive tank that's going with him. If you want to run a dive if you're playing if you're playing in a back to front composition. Okay? So what have I been saying this entire time? Just to make sure that I've gotten my points across. Overwatch is not Marvel Rivals. You cannot use Overwatch terminology to dictate Marvel Rivals. It doesn't work. Overwatch has one tank, Marvel Rivals has two. Marvel Rivals is supposed to be played in a 2-2-2 composition. However, yeah, you can play 2-1-3 with two tanks. In pro play, I don't think I've ever seen a solo tank. I'm looking at watching tonight. Usually, you should never run a solo tank in Marvel Rivals, because why? The game fundamentally is broken. And when I say broken, I mean broken in the sense that tanks have a lot of sustain, the duelists do a lot of damage, and the strategists do a lot of healing. So comparing Overwatch or using Overwatch as a blueprint to determine whether or not the tanks in Marvel Rivals are off tanks or main tanks is dumb. Makes absolutely zero sense. Now, if you do not agree, if you think I am saying, I'm talking out of my ass, let me know in the comment section. I will argue with you. Like I always say this, I will argue with you. Anyways, listen, that's my 2 cents on this, okay? Drop a comment. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that I'm overcomplicating it or undercomplicating it. Let me know. I'll read everything. And if you want to have more Marvel Rivals content like this, hey, I will be making more. My next video is gonna be about what's dive, dive DPS, and that one is gonna be as crazy as this one, maybe, or maybe even more crazy. If maybe not as crazy, or maybe even more crazier. I will see y'all in the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.